Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Welcome into the Penny Bloom Podcast. I am Colton Robertson. Today I am not joined by Tavares Pennington, but I have some wonderful guests for this Mandalorian rewatch. Just like last week, I've got Joe and Miles with me. What's up, Joe?
What's up?
What's up, Miles?
How's it going?
Plus, this week, we've got an extra guest, my boy Kyler Barnett.
What's up, guys? Good to be back.
Hey, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, a few months back, January, actually, so 8 months back, me and Kyler recorded some Iron Man podcast for Co-Rose Companion podcast, and it was quite enjoyable. So I figured I'd have him on because he's pretty good at this. You're welcome.
Yeah, good point. I just speechless there. Didn't know what to say. My bad. We'll get the feel here. We'll get the feel back.
You're good. You're good here, buddy. You're good. So this week we've got season 1, chapter 2 of The Mandalorian, titled "The Child," directed by Rick Famuyiwa and written by Jon Favreau. Overall, how do you guys feel about this episode?
I mean, I personally really enjoyed this one because, I mean, if we're going back and kind of recapping just a little bit about the first episode, one of the things I really liked you guys touched on in the episode 1 was how Mandalorian is just built up in episode 1 as, like, such a badass. Like, he literally, like unstoppable force, like, ain't nothing scaring this man. Like, he's in there. IG-11's ready to, like, basically just detonate himself, like, hey, man, for the team. And Mandalorian's like, oh, hey, like, take a chill pill. Let's just, like, methodically think this out. And I think in episode 2, I love the, like, change of pace. You kind of see him get caught off guard, like, kind of, like, panicked, a little freaked out. I think that's just a good change of pace.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And I made the comparison last week to Space Batman.
Oh, yeah. I personally think that's a good analogy.
Plus, he basically watched his parents die. So there's another thing right there.
Damn.
I mean, there's
cold-blooded. As long as there's pearls in the scene, we're good. Got to get the pearls in there, hitting the ground, slow-mo shot.
You have to. Joe, how'd you feel about this episode?
Any Baby Yoda I can get, I dig. And he came in clutch this episode, so.
Oh, he did.
It was pretty dope, I'd have to say.
What about you, Miles?
I enjoyed the episode, kind of like, as Kyler said, how it was the whole change of pace of, like, in the first episode, it was all just of, the Mandalorian just being a badass. And then in this, this episode where, like, whenever he's fighting the Mudhorn, he just kind of gets kicked around the entire time. And then absolutely. Whenever, kind of going a little ahead, but whenever he finally gets back, Queel, or however you say his name, is just like, what took you so long?
Yeah, like,
we've been here waiting for you.
You get that shit done pretty quick. It was just a
I thought it'd be like 10, 15 minutes, and then you'd just be back with the egg. And
yeah, fucking Suka.
You almost died.
Suka. Give me the egg. Yeah, I'm always here for Jawas.
Yeah.
Jawas are such a great part of the Star Wars universe. Obviously, we got familiar with them very early on in 1977 with the original Star Wars movie. And I just like we talked about all last episode, just the constant callbacks to everything throughout the Star Wars universe is just wonderful. One of my favorite parts about this series.
So, just so I get this straight, are you, like, pro-Jawa? Like, you're a fan? Because, like, I can't freaking stand them. I think they're the most annoying things, because I guess maybe I'm just bitter from, like, Lego Star Wars when I was a kid, and there's, like, a level where I had to be, like, C-3PO and try to get in that thing and get out, and, like, they just...
What you're talking about.
I mean, they just whoop me, like, all the time. So, I, like, can't stand these things. I just think they're annoying.
See, that's the thing, too, is that, like, when it comes to Star Wars things, I like it all. So, like, when it comes to, like, a character like C-3PO, I think C-3PO is annoying as fuck. But I love C-3PO,
Like,
because he's such a central part of Star Wars, Like
I don't know, man. Like I said, I just keep coming back to that Lego Star Wars level where it just like I can't let that aside. Like, it's just, I mean, what can you do?
And speaking of video games, I was thinking about this as we were watching this episode. Actually, this series reminds me a lot of a role play video game from like the perspective of Mandalorian.
It would be
From
so
Mando.
much fun.
Oh, so kick! I mean, like even like here in a few minutes when I start this breakdown, when he's fighting the fucking sandcrawler, like that's a level straight out of a video game from back in the day. Like that's just kick ass. That's fucking kick ass.
So I don't want to like totally derail this whole thing or just right from the jump. I mean, barely in, but like there's two things I really feel like Mandalorian clicks with me. Like when I watch it, I just love the fact that to me it feels almost like it's like a Star Wars Western. Like if you put a Western into Star Wars,
well, I mean,
and
that's
then
what
like
they're all kind of modeled after.
Yeah,
that
like I just love that this one seems so much more
gunslinger.
I hate to say grounded. Because, like, how dumb does that sound?
Yeah, it's not like it's Star Wars, it's not grounded. But like, it's smaller. It's smaller than the movie.
And then I think it also reminds me, like, just almost a little bit, like maybe it's just this episode and the vibes I got from this episode, but like Indiana Jones and to a degree. Like that sandcrawler scene when he's like clinging to the tank in Indiana Jones. Yeah, and he's just literally clinging onto the tank and just getting dragged on the rocks.
I mean, yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
Wait, who is this Indiana? Are you talking about Han Solo?
Yeah,
I forgot. They can't
all
exist in the same universe.
all George Lucas creations too.
That's a good point.
So I mean, like, George Lucas, he's gone on record many times saying how he's influenced by westerns and samurai films, and how those all influenced Star Wars to a great degree. So it only makes sense that Dave Filoni, co-creator of this series, who was basically the prodigal son of George Lucas.
Right.
Just fed off his energy. So how about we dive into this episode breakdown scene by scene? You ready?
I'm down.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we start this episode on Mando walking alongside Baby Yoda's little pod thing, making their way through the canyons and caverns, and it reminded me of R2-D2 at the beginning of A New Hope when he's like going through and he gets zapped by the Jawas, which is perfect for this scene, for this whole episode. And Baby Yoda makes eye contact with these like lizards on the side, and they follow him around. And obviously, the first time I watched this, I didn't connect that to the fact that he's strong with the Force, and he's connected to all living things. But all these little animals were like, "Oh shit, look at this fucking guy! Let's follow him around. I like this guy." And they're all just trailing Baby Yoda, like, "Yeah, this is our leader." But we see some movement in the background, and they're Trandoshan bounty hunters, same as Bosk. And I'd forgotten.
That's exactly what I had wondered. Because when I saw them, I thought, man, they look just like the same kind of creature as Bosk. And I was wondering, but I'm glad you confirmed that because I was curious.
Yeah, and I completely forgot about this scene for some reason. There's not much in this show that I'd forgotten. But this scene, like when I saw it again on my rewatch today, and I've watched the show already like 3 times through, at least. So like seeing it today and being like, holy shit, where have I been every time this scene is on?
Yeah, it's almost like you took a bathroom break or something.
Yeah, or something like that. I didn't remember it at all. And I was like, this is a fucking great fight. I love it. But as one of them's running away, fucking Mando disintegrates the dude. Mm-hmm. Straight up. Particles just everywhere, like he's gone. Poof.
Thanos snapped him away.
The thing that like shocked me, I guess, was that there was 3 of them. If you watch the fight scene, so he basically hand to hand just like beats the other 2, and then there's one running towards Baby Yoda, and he just straight up aims that big old thing and just zaps him, like you said, just disintegrates him. My thing was, I mean, obviously he's used this weapon, he knows what it's about,
for sure.
But like my fear is like, what if that thing goes through this lizard and just like sends Baby Yoda like
Baby Yoda?
Yeah, like collateral from Call of Duty stuff.
I mean, if it does, he just goes and just still collects the bounty.
He's like, well, yeah, now it's just less.
It's just the show's a lot shorter.
Yeah, the credits are rolled after episode 2, and it's sorry, no season 2.
But this was also interesting because in Empire Strikes Back, Vader tells Boba Fett no disintegrations.
Mm-hmm. No way.
In reference to Han Solo, he goes, "No disintegrations." So, like, this is what he was this is what he was talking about, like this actual weapon being able to disintegrate people, and they finally brought it into the universe, like actually showing what this weapon's capable of.
That is so
my
cool.
mind is like, that's freaking, dude. Jon Favreau and Filoni show. You guys talked about this in episode 1 about the fan service that it's so mind blowing to me how deep they go. Like they will pull, like, I mean, I've watched Star Wars a lot of times, especially the movies and especially the original trilogy, just because I wasn't around back then. So I feel like I have ground to make up. Like I need to watch it as much as possible just to like feel like I was there back then. But the fact that like I never remembered that line. I never had heard that. That didn't even click with me until you literally just said that, and it's like,
exactly, dude.
Like
and
mind blowing.
There are so many instances of stuff like that throughout this entire series. But after he disintegrates the dude, the tracking fob falls on the ground, and you can feel the energy from Mando. He's just like, fucking A, these dudes are not going to stop coming until I turn this baby in.
Yeah, like he's got a big day ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So we get oh, what's up?
I just feel like George Lucas just throws like little things like, hey, I created this like a long time ago. Here's a little line I threw in there. It'd be pretty cool to do now because the technology's there.
It's there.
Like,
yeah.
I swear, like he just has like a little checklist. Like I really want this to be in like the Star Wars universe one time, and
like one of those things where it's like I didn't have the like means to do this back then, but like if you did it now, that would be. And it's not like somebody's gonna be like, George, get out of here. Like, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember that 3-word line from 40 years ago? Yeah, it's a thing now.
Yeah, no disintegrations. Just they took that and they were like, no, what would be cool is like if we disintegrated someone. But that weapon does come back around, and I think next episode. But they take a stop that so that Mando can close up his wounds, and you see Baby Yoda straining here. He's it's the first time he tries to do a force heal.
What do you think Mando was thinking?
He was probably like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy?
Like, sit the fuck down and go to sleep or something.
Well, and that's how he handled him, too. Like, Baby Yoda got up and walked towards him, and you could see, like, the strain in his face as he held out his hand. He was like, "Urgh."
Is he trying to reach me?
And Mando was like, man, just sit in your fucking pod. And Baby Yoda crawls out of the pod, and then Mando's like, fucking A. He picks him back up, he puts him in, and then we get this view of Mando from Baby Yoda's perspective, much like his parents shutting the doors on him. We see the pod close above Baby Yoda on
my
Mando.
God.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that was one of the huge things I noticed was I feel like obviously this is a rewatch, so we know how things go. And obviously in episode 1 we see Mando not allow Baby Yoda to get, IG-11 to kill him. Like so we know Mando's got a soft spot for some reason. He doesn't know why.
He was a foundling.
Yeah.
He was a foundling. He
what
was
I'm
found
saying.
as a child. So when he finds this child.
That parallel is like the confirmation that like Mandalorian, there's a lot more in common and he knows it. And I loved that scene. I'm glad you brought that up because I had been thinking about that since I listened to episode 1 and then I watched episode 2 after. And I've been thinking about that since then. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Just a big old softie. Just shoot the kid and just fry him up and eat him for dinner.
Damn.
Oh my god!
Grind him up in a smoothie.
Yeah.
Again with the smoothie, man. I can't with this.
I really do think we found the Star Wars director and producer, producer group.
I want Favreau and Filoni to be the co-creators behind everything Star Wars, and I want this team of directors like the Rick Famuyiwa and Deborah Chow and Dave Filoni and John Favreau and all these people, just Taika Waititi, all these people.
Yes,
to come together
if you throw Taika Waititi in with any of Filoni and Favreau, I mean, I don't see how you don't get a hit. I don't get it.
Contract now, Disney now.
Taika Waititi has a upcoming Star Wars project, apparently, is what I've heard.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, too. I've been reading up on that.
In a recent interview, actually, Jeff Goldblum hinted at something that he was doing with Taika Waititi, and people are speculating that Jeff Goldblum might be popping up in the Star Wars universe.
Oh my gosh, that's nuts.
It's a dream come true.
Oh, a dream come true. He would probably play a pretty similar role to the one he played in Thor Ragnarok.
That's what I was going to say. What if he plays the same character and the universes are linked? And we get a Star Wars Avengers crossover.
All Disney owned. It could happen. But next we see this beautiful silhouette shot of Mando and Baby coming over a hilltop where they find some Jawas raiding the Razor Crest. And never a good sign. Never a good sign to see Jawas raiding your ship. You know they're stripping that shit for all the parts they possibly can. There's some fiendish crackheads and eggheads, of course. Suka! But Mando does some more disintegrations here. Yeah. Very, very, very shoot first, ask later mentality here.
Yeah.
But
who's going to mess with him?
That's his ship, and those are Jawas. You know, he's like, I'm going to dispatch these bitches just because I can.
So badass.
And after this, it turns into one of the more epic moments of all the series for me when Mando goes toe to toe with a goddamn sandcrawler.
It's like you said. It's very like act first. Don't even ask a question. Like don't even think about it. Like what's my initial reaction? Like say
I'm gonna go fight this giant vehicle.
Dude, the way he just clings onto that, and then like I mean, can you imagine the feeling of like I guess like belittlement of like a Jawa just like zapping you, and you're just sitting there helpless like on the ground, like just got tased by a little midget like red eye. Freaking, I hate those things. I can't say anything. I can maybe go like 30 seconds without, I can maybe go 30 seconds without bringing up that like I can't stand Jawas. Like I just.
Are they children or adults?
Like
they asked.
No, they're adults.
Okay.
Yeah. Like in the original trilogy too, they didn't know exactly what kind of scale they were going to use for like Jawas. So there are a few shots in the original New Hope movie where you see like 5-foot Jawas running around where they're not as little as they're supposed to be yet. So like it's just kind of like they're just these big ass little Jawas, you know.
Well, and also, I mean, it's like the expanded universe type stuff, but like the Sand People and the Jawas are technically the same race.
Yeah.
But they split off like a long time ago, and the Jawas went like underground, and then eventually whenever like other people like came to Tatooine and shit and like left debris, they decided, all right, we're just going to build giant sand castles and, you know, or sand crawlers and then just roam around the planet picking up debris.
Conspiracy theory.
Let's hear it.
So there's a big, we talked about this in the group chat today, talking about how a lot of people can't stand Ewoks, which for the record, I like Ewoks.
I love Ewoks.
I mean, that's just me.
So you like Ewoks, but
the way they play the drums on dead stormtrooper skulls. God.
Yes. So let me explain my conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory, if you're looking at the size of a Jawa and the size of an Ewok, the Ewoks with the low,
they're little dudes. They could put on a hood, maybe some goggles that glow, and I mean, I see a Jawa there. What if Jawas are Jedi Ewoks?
God!
Much to think about.
What if?
All right, let's bounce from that before we get get hated on Twitter.
We see all this. We see this entire battle ensue with the Sandcrawler, and all the Jawas are operating their little city on wheels, trying to knock him down as he crawls up the sides. And there's a moment here where Mando is hanging off the side, and he is going to get swept off by like a rock formation on the side. And it reminded me a lot of a scene in Solo with Chewbacca when he's about to get got.
So I think it got.
Oh yeah, you remember like he was hanging off the side and he was about to hit a rock formation. Like I don't know like if that's intentional, but like because like it's not an uncommon thing to do whenever someone's hanging off the side of a giant vehicle, you know.
True.
But next we get a brief cut to Baby Yoda's pod, he's just keeping up quite nicely, really hauling ass in that thing, and Mando tosses a Jawa from a window, and then he gets shocked when he reaches the top. And again, R2 style, like you saw all the outline of his like the lightning coursing through his armor and shit, which I thought was cool. And he ultimately falls to the ground.
He would definitely break his back from that height.
Dude, that was like a 40-foot drop at least.
That thing was tall.
He's either dead or his back is gone.
One thing I guess I don't understand is this little thing that Yoda sits in, Baby Yoda.
The pod.
Is it autonomous? Like, does it have a like tracker set up to Mando to like just tail that guy, or like
we didn't fully dive into this last week. We asked a question like, does it just come with the species because Yoda has one of these as well?
I know. So how does it move? Is it autonomous? Like it just like if
I don't
Yoda is
know.
like, hey, I want to go that way.
Well,
does it just do it?
I mean,
is it
you
a
see
force
him, like-
thing? Is it?
You see him controlling it on his arm pad, and he swings his arm to control it sometimes. So I would assume like it's connected to that, and like
Okay.
there's a range. I would assume there's a range something on it where it just kind of follows him. I don't know, but that'd be my guess.
That's probably a fair assumption. It's probably nothing like mystical or
I
anything
mean,
like that.
here's all I've noticed as Star Wars fans or Marvel fans that we demand an explanation for absolutely everything.
I want to know. I want to know every goddamn thing. I want to know why Baby Yoda lives in this pod. You know,
Yeah, it's kind of perfect that we have Favreau and Filoni at the helm because I feel like they do a better job.
They want to
than
answer
anyone
that. They want to answer that. Kind of
answer
shit.
the most irrelevant questions that we have.
Man,
But,
Baby Yoda abandoned his kid. Think about that. If it is Yoda's kid, like, did they really abandon this dude?
Yeah, I mean, if Baby Yoda's 50, all right, and Yoda dies at say 950,
Okay,
he had a baby at 900. There's nothing keeping that man around.
that's true.
Also,
I'm bouncing immediately. You think a 900-year-old wants to listen to a baby cry?
I can't imagine Yoda having a child exactly falls in line with the whole Jedi. and all that
That's
stuff.
exactly what I was about to say.
Well, yeah,
Anakin can't get on-
as it is known, the Jedi can't make Whoopi. So,
That is true. That is a
that
true
is
fact.
true. Next, we get back to the ship, the Razor Crest, and Mando finds that it's just absolutely torn apart, including that weapons cache we got a brief look at in the first episode. And he tries to take off, but his engines sputter. So him and Baby are on the road again, and they head back to Queel. Home sweet home, baby. Got to make it back to my favorite Ugnaught. You know, he has spoken.
He has.
At least once. We we see a little baby chasing a frog around, and you know he wants to eat that bitch. You just know it. Homie's got to be hungry. He's been locked in that pod for who knows how long inside that little prison encampment. Mando just found him, hasn't fed him yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we talk about Mando's father thing. I just don't think it's there. I mean, he's just not a lot of feel early on.
Not yet,
Also,
for sure.
Also, you talked about it earlier, Colton, how like the lizards and all that stuff, and like the opening scene were all following Yoda.
This frog was
Do you think
running away
Yoda just
from him.
or Baby Yoda just like used the Force to get the frog to come to him, and he said, "I gotcha, bitch."
That's so OP. Like, think about the vibe you get from Baby Groot trying to catch the fly. That man went through hell to catch that fly in Guardians 2.
Oh my
at the
god, I
beginning.
remember that.
But
At the
Baby
beginning when
Yoda's
he's
over
running
here
around.
and can just take the Force and be like, yeah, dinner, like, thanks. Like,
I think
wow.
that frog would fill him up for at least a month. How small he
Dude,
is,
he's
you
so
know.
tiny, and that frog was like almost as big as him. You saw the legs sticking out of his mouth. That was like
Yeah.
at least his height.
Did you see how much Force he used later in the episode, though? All those Force
dude,
powers,
that's
they
got to be
they burn
exerting a lot of
calories.
energy. Yeah.
I think it's weird. In the Jedi universe, how many times have we actually seen a Jedi eat food? Like, we've seen Anakin eat the apple or that fruit or whatever where he, like, slices it with the Force. And then, like, we see Yoda sorta eat a bite of spoon or a soup. Bite of spoon.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. I mean, and you got Rey making her little her shit at the beginning of the Force
Yeah,
Awakens.
pops up out of nowhere.
Well, but
Yeah.
she's not a Jedi, so doesn't count.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. Of course. But next we see Mando fill Queel in on why he's still there. Jawa's dismantled his ship and all, so, need help. And Queel tells him, you know what? I'll take you to these Jawas. And they'll get you figured out. We'll get this shit straightened out because I am Queel, and for some reason I know how to do fucking everything possible.
Yeah, so that's one. I love the dynamic between Queel and Mando just because I feel like I talked about earlier with the first episode, how it builds up Mandalorian is like this lone gunslinger, like he's kind of on his own. He don't need no help, like anything like that,
Mhm.
And then I think in this episode, you really see a change, like obviously a change of pace and stuff. But I love that Queel, like he's heard of the legend and like he expects legendary type things to come from Mando. But at the same time, he's also like got this like,
I'll help you,
okay,
though.
whatever. Like, I can do this too. Like, you're not all that. Like, I'll do something. Like, I can help. It's almost like he's got this like arrogance, but at the same time, like appreciation. It's just the arrogance is much louder than the appreciation.
I think he's
Yeah.
a Sith Lord.
God.
I think he's
All
the
of
Jar
the hot
Jar, of this series, and you wouldn't expect Jar Jar to be anything, but he was obviously a Sith Lord.
Oh,
And
obviously.
All of the hot takes.
I think Queel, he wants his foot in everything, so he knows what's going on.
Absolutely. And at the end of this scene, Baby Yoda, his quest for the frog is a success, and he swallows that motherfucker whole.
Munchies.
Homie's got to eat. Queel carries Mando and the baby in a trailer that is hitched to his blurg mount, and they go all the way to this Jawa's encampment. And the Jawas aren't happy to see Mando, the guy who disintegrated a bunch of them.
Wouldn't be happy either. Yeah,
can't blame him.
Yeah, not shocked.
I mean, if somebody just came up to us and was like, "Hey, I'm going to disintegrate a few of your friends."
I mean,
damn.
Okay, this guy comes up to you. He's disintegrated a few of your friends, and he's like, "Give me my shit parts back." What do you do?
I mean, he disintegrated some of my friends.
It's like I don't want to turn him down.
That guy's business. It's kind of like if Anakin strolled into the Tusken Raider thing after he literally slaughtered the whole race, and there was one left, and he's like, "What's up, man?
got anything to say?
I'm not here to kill you. I'm not actually here to kill you today. I'm just here to hang out. It's whatever."
But when Queel tells Mando to drop his rifle, he responds, "I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are a part of my religion." And this opens up a whole new door about the whole how have they evolved to this point? There's a huge gap in time. We don't know exactly what happened to them during the Empire. We know that there was this great purge that we've heard about, but we don't know exactly what that was. And now it's more of a creed than it is a people.
Mm-hmm. They're scared to come up from underground, and they only show one at a time. It is very strange that they were such a strong force, and then now it's they're lingering almost. And and we know it's because of the Empire. I would just like to know how it happened. And I'm sure we'll get those answers because
they keep
it's
dropping
Filoni at the helm. Yeah,
the subtle little hints of what happened, but not actually saying, this is what happened and here's what happened.
Queel's like, well, if you want to keep being stubborn and shit, man, they ain't going to give you your shit. They're not going to give you your parts back. So Mando's like, all right, fine, drop the shit. And they proceed to deal with the Jawas. Mando refuses to trade for his parts. He feels like he's owed his parts because, they stole them. Probably reasonable. And the Jawas mock Mando for his terrible Jawaese, saying that he sounds like a Wookiee. And I was like, that's fucking, I love that line. A Jawa going haha, look at this fucking guy. He sounds like a Wookiee.
I mean, I would love to sound like a Wookiee. So, if that were hey, I can't even be mad if somebody said that about me. But I mean, as Mando, he demands his respect. I get it.
Demandos his respect. Goddamn right.
Damn.
Mando doesn't take kindly to hearing that he sounds like a Wookiee, and he tries to burn this Jawa's face off with his flamethrower. And, after they go back and forth for a while, they finally settle on, you know what? We'll give you your parts back if you bring us Sluka! The egg. The egg. The egg. The egg. They all chant in chorus. It's a powerful moment.
Dude, I really thought this egg was going to be something special.
I thought it was they were going to worship this egg.
Yeah.
It was something and you can tell
that's how they were born somehow. I'm maybe one of them's going to come out of it and it's going to be their new leader or something. I don't know.
Bro, and the way Queel, as soon as the first Jawa goes, Suka! Queel goes, fucking A. He looks down and he's like, shit, the fucking egg. I knew it. I goddamn knew it. So, and obviously he doesn't tell Mando what the fuck it's for, or else he's gonna be like, you think I'm gonna...
Oh, sorry, my bad. I didn't mean to...
No, go ahead.
So one of the things that I think is interesting is so if Queel's seen all these bounty hunters come in through here, trying to get stuff, everything, why wouldn't he have, A, warned Mando about the Jawas, and B, if when he looked so disappointed when they were the Suka, and this and that, and they're going for the egg, don't you think he would have been there's been some different tactics I've seen deployed, don't do these ones, just no. He's like, nah, you just go in blind, you'll be fine.
Yeah, he's clearly he knows what Suka is. He knows what the egg is. Yeah. So he probably knows that it's a mudhorn egg, and he knows that he's probably going to have to face off with a mudhorn. So, I mean, clearly he has faith in the Mandalorian to just deal with that.
I don't think Mando would go get the egg if he knew that they were just going to eat it.
No.
I think he was thinking it was going to be something of importance, and then we'll get to that. I guess it's a little later. But.
Oh yeah. We'll get around there. We next see Mando and the baby being transported in the sand crawler, and Mando hits his head on the ceiling because he's a little too tall. And this is another one of those things that reminded me of like a video game. You know how like when like there's like these loading screens that feel like they're taking you from place to place. It's just like this part where he's just no lines. He's sitting in a sand crawler with Jawas, and he hits his head on the ceiling. Now we're on to the next.
They
scene.
all laugh at him too.
It's a wonderful transition right there. I like that. And Mando walks up on this cave and prepares for battle. Enters.
It looks exactly like a butthole. Just throwing it out there. The cave looks. It does look. It does indeed look like an asshole. And Baby stays behind outside the cave, and Mando enters. He turns on his flashlight. He's panning around, and he finds some bones. And if Poe Dameron was here, he'd be like, "Oh fuck, why is it always bones?" He keeps searching, and his flashlight happens to shine directly into a creature's eye, and she wakes.
That's just convenient. I mean, it's just.
Oh yeah, he just looks right at it.
It's the Jurassic Park, the eyeball staring right at you. You know, it's anytime there's a giant animal that's about to just dominate. That's a guarantee.
This is a big part of Star Wars too. Is the face off with a giant creature. You know, like even in the first episode we had the Ravenak. In this episode we have the Mudhorn. Like in Return of the Jedi, you've got the Sarlacc pit and the fucking Rancor, and in Episode 5, you've got the abominable snowman, and so on and so forth. You've just got all these like massive creatures that the heroes have to often go against.
In Episode 3, you have Palpatine.
Exactly. In Episode 2, the giant ring. That's like
all
they fight like 3 giant creatures.
Yeah.
And then from outside the cave, we see Baby, and he hears a blaster fire and a beast roaring, and then he sees Mando just fly the fuck out of it.
I love
15 feet in the air.
I love the cinematography of that scene when it pans to Baby Yoda, and then you hear that iconic blaster fire. First of all, like the sounds of Star Wars are just so like.
Shout out to Ben Burt.
Oh, they're just so good. I mean, they just sound like it's one of those things where, like, you hear it and you know exactly. It's like if I was blind, like you could play that and I would know, like immediately.
It's a Star Wars blaster.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would rely on me being like having actually seen it. Whatever. We don't even get to the nuances of that. Point being, I love the look of that red blaster fire go off in there, and you just see it kind of barely light up that sound, and then. Just that moment of calm just for a split second before just Mando just gets whooped. Because, like, in your head, all you've seen Mando do is pretty much dominate up until this point.
Mm-hmm,
so
certainly.
when you see that, you hear a blaster fire thing, oh, he's about to handle shit.
Oh, he handled that. Like, I thought he was just going to, on his shoulder, like, what's up, bitches?
Get out of here. Like, no, he just gets, like, just shit on. I mean, for a lack of a better term, just gets his shit rocked.
Absolutely gets shit on. The Mudhorn emerges from the cave, and as Mando tries to shoot it, his gun jams because, mud. And the Mudhorn, just, as you said, just shits on this dude. Absolutely destroys him. He stands no fucking chance. And then the Mudhorn sets his sights on Baby Yoda, and he charges. But Mando's like, I can't have that. Can't have that. Grapples him out of the fucking way like a badass, like the protective father that he is. The Mudhorn leaps on a supine Mando, and he tries to get it off with his flamethrower. That doesn't work. He fires a hook into its face, and it just runs off with him attached to the line. He gets flung away, and the Mudhorn continues to fuck him up. Just knocks him the fuck out. He's down. He's done and out. I was like, the show's over. He's dead.
I mean, I just love that they took the time to like really beat into him. Like that's as weird as that sounds to want like to see your protagonist just get beat the hell up.
He's vulnerable, We haven't seen him be vulnerable.
For me, it was like the perfect amount. It wasn't like, wasn't the stereotypical like, oh, he takes a few blows and then he gets on his shit. Like they really took the time to like A, develop how strong this Mudhorn is, but B, like also show how vulnerable and weak Mando was in this moment. I mean, he looked gassed. He looked like he just went 12 rounds with like Apollo
Creed.
Tyson.
Yeah.
I mean, he got knocked the fuck out in the first round by Mike Tyson, but
I mean,
like, do you realize how badass Mike Tyson is for me to say that? Like, this fictional bounty hunter in this show, I think would get fucked up by Mike Tyson.
I mean, I was leaning towards Apollo Creed just because of, who else is in the show, but like, yeah, I get the Mike Tyson.
I get you.
I mean, shit, if Baby Yoda wasn't there, I mean, I strongly believe Mando would have died 100%.
Oh, he definitely would. I mean, right here, Mando, he accepts his fate here. He puts his head down, he brings out the vibroblade, and he's like, all right, well, if it happens, it happens. And he's like, this is the end, this is the end.
Man's using like a 3-inch blade to take on a mudhorn, like just giant. He's like, yeah, this will do. I mean, last line of defense, it shows the desperation.
He's like, if this is the end of me, at least I have a friend with me, a weapon in my hand, my command, and my men with me.
Yeah, I never knew that it was a vibroblade, ever. Like, I thought it was literally just a normal, like, little knife sort of thing, but I don't know what episode I realized it in, but I talked to you guys about it, and I was just like, what the heck's going on with this thing? Like, why is it vibrating like that?
That happens next episode.
Really? It wasn't vibrating this episode?
Yeah, it was.
Well, I'm sure it was, but I just couldn't see it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I saw it a little bit too in this episode.
Okay.
Yeah, so he sticks that blade straight the fuck out, and he's like, all right, this is the end, this is the end, and Baby sticks his hand out, and the mudhorn stops in its tracks. Mando looks up, and the bitch is floating. I remember the first time I watched it, and I was like, oh, fuck. This is the best. Because I was so excited. Like, I didn't anticipate it. I didn't expect any Force to be in this show. I didn't expect any of it. And like, even when I saw Baby Yoda, I didn't think he would have the Force. Yeah. I just thought he would be a part of Yoda's species. And then, lo and behold, he's fucking magical. Do you think this species is naturally
Force sensitive?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because when he comes on, he's a baby. And, like, obviously my thoughts are, okay, we haven't seen Force up to this point, which is really just one episode. But still, you're kind of sitting there leaning towards the fact that, like, this is kind of like, a forceless world, I guess you could say. Just kind of like the Force it's not integral to the story. And you see Baby Yoda, and I started to wonder, but I'm like, well, he's 50 and he still looks like a baby. So, like, is this man really smart enough to, like, be like, nah, get out of here. Like, you know what I mean? You don't really know, but
they've got to have very strong ties to the Force. Right, and we also don't, he's 50. We don't know, like, what's been happening before this. Like, maybe on this species home planet, maybe they are all Force sensitive. So, like, from birth, they are being taught how to use this shit. Like, maybe that's why Yoda was able to be a Grand Master. But, like,
I don't know.
Where was the rest of his species at the time of the prequels and shit like that?
I really do just think Baby Yoda is like a dog. It's a weird analogy to make, but he's just so loyal to his owner, or companion, I guess, which is Mando, and he's acting out of like a sort of a self-defense mechanism.
Like it's an instinct.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's just the way they come out of the package, or if it's just kind of like a fight or flight instinct. But I mean, it's pretty cool nonetheless.
I do. I wanted to say one thing to Kyler real quick. Right here, I actually have a little toy Jawa right in front of me, and so I just wanted to give a big old fat fuck you to Kyler.
I mean, I'm really scared that, like, if you ever find my address, like, I'm gonna get one. Like, I'm just gonna end up with one.
Dude, I'm gonna send you like endless Jawas.
I mean, like, I'm literally going to dispose of them. Like, I will make a habit of like new ways to dispose of them each day.
I'll send you a real life Java.
I mean, if you find one,
we'll dress Joseph up in a robe, and we'll.
Yeah, George.
You walked into that one there, Joseph.
Yeah, you set it up yourself out for.
You set it up perfectly. But yes, I do agree with Joe in that that Baby Yoda is kind of like a dog. It probably is more instinctual than it is like he's actually been trained or anything like that.
And I love the, like, if we're going with that, leaning into that analogy, like how quick the loyalty is built between Yoda and Mando. And it's really more just Yoda to Mando. Like, I wouldn't say Mando up to this point feels, he's got a little bit of a connection. It's kind of being set up, but like, it's not super concrete or anything. Yet. He's still planning to pass this thing on to the client. 100%. So I think Yoda sees him Yoda sees Mando save him from IG-11, and I think from right there, Yoda's immediately, I mean, he already tries to force heal Mando from that point,
That's true.
before the Mudhorn, Mudhorn, my bad. So I think that's a really interesting thing is like how quick he was to trust and like grasp for Mando just in that like emotional sense. And it's because he's so young when you think about it. He's a baby.
Exactly.
He might be 50, but he's a baby.
He could also be getting a read into him through the Force.
Yeah.
Like I know at the heart of this guy is good and I can feel it.
Right. Yeah.
I trust him, you know?
Big or here.
Oh, hot take
The
coming.
first
Hot
episode.
take.
Well, not really. It kind of makes sense.
Okay. You just prepped it. You prepped it like it might be.
I did. But the first episode, we don't know what condition or how the people are treating Baby Yoda where he's
True.
at. And
Hopefully
maybe
it's nothing
it was
like those stormtroopers at the end.
Yeah. Maybe it was so bad that like Mando was the first face he saw of a different. Well, I guess IG-11 was, but the first human sort of face that Baby Yoda saw, and maybe it was just like he instantly like was like, "Thank you for saving me. I'm just
like
loyal to you forever." Yeah,
kind of like Chewie with Han.
yeah. So who knows? I mean, I really do want to know what the heck they were doing with Baby Yoda back there and how we got there and everything. But
yeah, but after Baby makes this Mudhorn float, he collapses into his pod, exhausted from the energy exertion, and Mando is just fucking shook. He's like,
yeah,
yo, what the fuck do I have here? What the fuck's going on?
He panicked. He's so close to literally like not reacting in time as like Yoda just disabled this thing for long enough for Mando. Like it's not dead. It's just floating. Like it's just immobile.
And he's just like,
he
what
almost waited
fuck?
too long and still lost. And then Yoda's just gonna be passed out, like done for, like just sitting duck.
He gives this Mudhorn just one little stab with the vibro blade and it's done for.
Maybe Mando thought he was like dreaming from whenever he got knocked out. Like maybe he didn't think it was real at first.
Maybe
he was shook. Yeah, no, he's definitely shook up on that stuff.
But yeah, this is when he realizes he's protecting and in possession of something very, very powerful, much more than he can even comprehend.
Yeah.
And
can we talk about the way Baby Yoda just just sits down after he uses the Force, like, and it tires him out?
Yeah, I just think with the way he gets like so tired after that, just parallel that immediately just threw me to 11 from Stranger Things, like just that common like level of exertion and then that immediate exhaustion afterwards, like just how gassed they are after they, you know, Yoda with the Force and then 11 with her telekinetic powers and stuff. You know, it's very like similar in that regard, which I think it just demonstrates. Because you know we don't really see Jedi get that way. Using the Force, you know, like older, because we've seen older Jedi. I mean, Yoda
gets
I
a little
think
exhausted.
when he's old, he does get a little tired. But I think it's interesting to see that new perspective of like a very young Force sensitive person. Like it makes you kind of wonder: would a youngling in the Jedi Temple, like would they kind of struggle with that similar kind of thing, or is that just Yoda's that much younger that it's just like he only has so much in him?
Well, it's also probably the fact that they're, like, younglings. They're not as connected to the Force at that age as Yoda is.
Yeah,
so, like, you don't see younglings being, like, you know, Force lifting a fucking Mudhorn. Otherwise, Anakin would have been done for whenever he went in there to take out all the younglings. They would have just lifted him up and thrown him around the room.
God, could you imagine? Wouldn't that have been so fucking funny? Like, what if what sent Anakin into his rage was the fact that he got embarrassed by a bunch of younglings? Like, what if that's why he became Darth Vader?
Damn.
Just, hey,
we don't
Anakin,
know.
how's the Jedi Council going?
So, what are we going to do, Master Anakin? Zoom, and then he just gets picked up by all the younglings.
There's too many of them. What are we going to do?
Oh,
you just put me in the ears.
His head just got sliced off.
Oh, gosh! Oh, that was when we needed the disconnect.
The disconnect sound.
That would be perfect.
But after all this, Mando finds the egg in the Mudhorn's cave and he returns it to the Jawas, and the Jawas they rejoice when he returns to it. Oh, happy day! We have our egg. Time to feast on its nectar. And they slice that bitch open and they're just scooping it up with their hands. I was just like, oh god, this is disgusting.
It looked pretty good. I don't know.
The worst ASMR potentially of all time. I mean, it's just not. it just fuels the hatred even more. I'm just a very impassioned person about my disdain for the Jawas.
Jawas, you're a racist against Jawas.
They can't even be civilized to have this thing that they have so desperately craved, and they can't even just civilized enough to be like,
sit down and get
let's savor this, let's enjoy it.
They traded a whole starship essentially.
I think it was a big fuck you to Mando, though. It was just kind of a big fuck you. Yeah.
You mean so little to us that we will give you your ship parts back if you just go get us some fucking food.
Essentially, Mando's just a DoorDash. Change my mind. He's just a dash. Change my mind.
But he's like a DoorDash if you dismantled their car beforehand, and then we're like, go get me food.
Yeah.
But again, Quill hauls Mando and the baby along with a lot of ship parts back to the Razor Crest by the Blurg Mount trailer. And Baby Yoda's still sound asleep. Mando and Quill discuss what he saw, and he's like, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know what the fuck happened, and that's just the energy here. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they're shocked. I think that's a really interesting perspective that we get from this show too, is a galaxy where force sensitivity and using the force is so
it's mythical.
What just happened? It's been heard of. That's a legend. That's not actually real.
We heard of a guy named Luke Skywalker who might be able to do stuff like this.
Yeah,
but we don't know if he's real.
That it's like a folklore thing. It's not. It's mythical, like you said. It's just not something that they view as. It's not as common as we think it is as a fan. We watch the trilogies where it's just there's the force. Cool.
It can go all the way back to episode 4 whenever Han Solo is like, get out of here with all that space wizard shit.
Yeah.
Like that, none of that's real. You're just making up. It's just an old dude making stories about space wizards.
That's only 20 years removed from the Jedi Council.
Yeah.
How quickly the Empire just got rid of all traces of the Jedi. They were like, this didn't even fucking happen. Nobody will ever hear of this again. But, Luke along to save the day, and I guess Baby Yoda will be right there alongside him. Eventually. Maybe. Hopefully.
In, 800 years, but whatever.
Yeah,
I'm going to be kind of sad if season 2 just starts off and it's 100 years later. Mando he just froze his body, and then now Baby Yoda's old.
That'd be kind of crazy. That's not going to happen, though. We got the first looks of The Mandalorian season 2 today, actually, on the day of recording.
What?
Yeah, on Twitter, I saw the Entertainment Weekly. They always put out the biggest television series that's about to come out. They always have these pictures of shots from the movie or show, and it looks fucking good. It looks real clean, and Moff Gideon seems much more prevalent. So I'm very, very much so looking forward to that.
Huh.
I can't wait till we get to talk about him.
Oh, dude, gosh. I know. It's so much. I think he's going to be such a great fucking villain in the Star Wars canon, top notch. I'm going to talk about him now, if you guys don't mind. I think due to what Filoni did with Admiral Thrawn in Star Wars Rebels, I think a lot of Star Wars fans felt that Dave Filoni was a little quick to the jump to get rid of Thrawn. Make sure that he was gone by the prequel trilogy instead of preserving him for after, or that he was before the original trilogy instead of preserving him for after, like he was in all of the expanded universe. So I think Moff Gideon is kind of a replacement for Admiral Thrawn in this post-Empire universe,
Well, and I think one of the things that the TV shows possess an ability to do is show us characters or villains that are either underserved or just completely disregarded in the movies. Mm-hmm. Especially with what we've gotten in the most recent trilogy. It's just, I felt like you've got the changes of director, you've got a lot of changes in visions, a whole lot of different. It's a little more jumbled than we traditionally seen with Star Wars, and that's not to say I don't love it. I'm never going to be one of those Star Wars fans that's going to sit in there and just say, I can't even watch this one. I will gladly sit through episode 1 and just watch it and not be even that mad, at all. I would just be like, it's Star Wars. At its worst, I'm still content. That's
exactly.
just the bar
I'm with
set.
you there.
So I think that you've seen it done with even Filoni in Clone Wars. You've seen him do it with countless villains. I mean,
Maul.
I think, yes, you've seen him do that. So, like, to know that we have such an important character in, like, Star Wars canon being introduced into a show, I almost feel like with a show you have more creativity to a degree, because especially Filoni's got the keys. You know what I mean? Like, he has the freedom, especially with Favreau. What do we have as fans not to trust that to them to develop that into something amazing, but also you've got a little more longevity. You're talking about, you know, if he sticks around and we get him teased at the end of season 1, if he sticks around and he's the big bad in the last episode, you know, that's 10 episodes worth of, you know, Moff
Just
Gideon,
a badass villain.
yeah, being maybe not in the focus for all 30 minutes every episode. Obviously, that's unrealistic. But, like, being that looming threat, there's a lot that Filoni can do with that in that time span. You know, each episode. And I think that's something that's exciting that we are maybe taking for granted, some of us maybe, just because in the movies, you know, you've got 3 hours to go through all these storylines, all these plot points, all these different characters that you have to, all these developments.
The Rise of Skywalker would have been a lot better if it had 3 hours to fledge out all of its shit.
I know. It's just one of those things where, you know, I think with a TV show, you get that chance to really kind of take your time a little bit.
Things.
Yeah.
But next we see Quill and Mando just go to absolute work on the ship, rebuilding this bitch piece by piece until ultimately they can finally leave. And once again, Mando offers Quill a portion of the reward for his bounty. He's like, I couldn't have done any of this shit without you. Like, zero doubt in my fucking mind we wouldn't be here without you. And he's like, dude, I'm your host. I do all this shit for free, man. Just go about your life. Go about your days.
I can't, like, it was so hard when I watched it to grasp that, like, this guy was actually that selfless. Like, I always thought there was some bigger picture. Like, oh, he's working with another bounty hunter, or he's the one that set up with the, you know...
IG-11 or something.
Yeah, or the creatures, the boss species I just...
Trandoshans.
Yes. Like, he had a tracker on Mando, like, that's where that's at. Like, I always thought there was some catch. And in fact, this dude's literally just that genuine.
Not with Quill. He's just that guy.
Like, wow.
Man, there could
be. Homie is a hippie. I'm telling you. He just wants to smoke weed and live in peace, man.
I think what was crazy was that Mando, we saw him be quick to offer up half of the reward to IG-11. And it's kind of interesting to see that, like, usually for a guy who's so fit to combat, like, instead of jumping to combat or escalation, to be like, peace make. Let's figure it out, man. Let's just go halvesies. Like, to do that.
Yeah, he's not worried about, like, the money's important. Like, he needs the money to bring it back to his covenant and, like, to keep funding their operation and stuff. I'm assuming that's what I've made it up to be in my head. The way they take in their money and stuff is just to support the Mandalorians. But, like, it's not the most important thing. It's just like, I'm a bounty hunter, so I'm going to get my bounty. Like, that's just what I do.
Yeah, one way or another, whatever it takes, kind of. Yeah. But I think it's interesting to see it with, like, you see that it just seems so much more different. Like, with IG-11, it almost felt like you could have seen Mandalorian, like, being sneaky and, like, capping him right before they pull up.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, it doesn't matter, because he capped him anyway. But, like, you know, I really felt like that it was so much more, like, from the heart, like, with that scene. Like, it's just that relationship immediately. Like, Mandalorian is legitimately so thankful, like, so... Like, man, like... Absolutely.
And right here, he offers him... He's like, you can come aboard my crew. Like, I want to bring you with me everywhere I go now.
Yeah.
I want you to be with me because you know things and you can help me out a lot.
That's a good-ass compliment to get from a Mandalorian.
Oh my
no
gosh,
doubt.
yes.
And he's like, man, I've gone my whole life trying to get out of servitude. I'm going to live in peace. You do your thing. I'm going to do mine.
It's like the Uncle Iroh of the Star Wars universe. Don't know if you guys have watched Avatar The Last Airbender, but it's exactly like Uncle Iroh.
Mando and Quill ultimately part ways here. Mando heads for space. He tries to shake Baby Yoda awake, and for a moment it doesn't work, but a few seconds later he wakes up, he sits up, and it's fucking adorable. And then we cut to black. That's the end of the episode. And
can we talk about how weirdly shaped Baby Yoda's mouth is?
Yeah, he's got a very tiny mouth.
He looks mean. Or he looks like it's an upside down smile all the time.
Yeah,
and I don't Why couldn't they just given him like a little cute smile, like a like a right side up smile? It's upside down. It's just weird, and I just think he's mad all the time, and maybe that's why I want to eat him. I don't know, but whatever.
I just
So Joe, let me get this clear, Joe. Are you fully in the camp that wants to eat Baby Yoda now?
No, I'm only in it like 25%.
We'll be keeping it up.
We'll be
keeping up with that. We'll be keeping up with that week to week from now on. Every week I'll ask you, more.
I'll do some more research on it, and I'll see maybe if we know what the race or their species tastes like, and
what's the nutritional value.
I mean, dude,
Joseph, post where there's the big meme that came out whenever you just like drinking the cup of tea. Do you think the tea would make him taste better?
Oh man,
do you think that would add to it, make you more likely to eat it?
Imagine eating Baby Yoda just full of Earl Grey.
Oh. Oh my god!
Oh my god! I can't
grasp that. I can't.
Dude,
I think the mouth is shaped a little weird, but it's still cute to me. I just don't get it. I don't get how.
He is cute. He is cute. That's why I'm 75% on the side that he's a cute little adorable.
I'm really scared. You're gonna do more research. Like for me, if it was only 75% love, 25%, I might eat him. Like I would stop there. Like I'm not gonna research to see if I could.
No, he's gonna. This is gonna become Joseph's. This is gonna become Joseph's life. He's just gonna be scrolling through pictures of Baby Yoda, and every day that percentage is gonna go up a little bit. 26, 27, 28, 29.
It's gonna be Baby Yoda Tinder. It's
gonna be swipe right, swipe right, swipe right, swipe right, swipe right.
Left to not like.
Honestly, I think it's just the color. It's such an appetizing.
He reminds me of mint chocolate chip ice cream.
It's such an appetizing color, and I think it would blend super well. I don't know.
This is where I get so lost. You're going to the blend. Like it's not enough to just like grill this guy. Like you want to like blend him in the most awesome way.
Okay, well, I would take like his head, blend it, his body.
So you guys, have you guys watched Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
You remember that the interdimensional cable segment where they cut to this like Olympic style like athlete thing, and it's a species that talks like gobble 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 gobble, 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 and then the guys like run up to the war and they like the board and they splat on it, and that like I think that's what Baby Yoda's blood looks like.
Ooh, that would taste so good. It was like blue raspberry, in Rick and Morty.
Joseph's just going to spend the next year just analyzing pictures and figuring out, based off of this picture.
I don't know. I think
the way
it just
looks,
like a grilled there. Baby Yoda wing.
I mean, I'm almost positive he's up to 35% in the last 30 seconds. Like,
I'd say 30.
I would like to make it clear that I am firmly in the camp that would not eat Baby Yoda.
Oh, I agree. No, that is
okay. But what if he was looking particularly tasty that day, Colton?
No, there's no particularly tastiness that would possibly make me.
Just the last thing to eat.
Okay, well here's the thing. Baby Yoda just like he's got the same fit on everything. He's like a cartoon character, all right. Like there's no particular day where he's looking like a snack compared to others.
No. I just hope that there's like a little 12-year-old that tunes in to this podcast and just has to imagine the idea of eating Baby Yoda. Or 12 kid. He's probably mature enough for that, but like maybe like a 7-year-old. Like, just imagine him being like having the Baby Yoda plush dolls, Baby Yoda like wall sticker, and then he just hears Joseph being like, "I would blend the shit out of Baby Yoda." Like,
I man, wow. I think it's for science, Also, like, I'm a man of science, and
for science,
it's got to be done sometime. Like, if he was the last creature on the world, and you had no other resources to eat, would you starve yourself, or would you eat him the last?
Then I'm eating Baby Yoda. If there's nothing else, no wait.
See, you did. No, yeah, you went right to it.
I'm a vegetarian. I can't eat Baby Yoda.
You went right to it.
Think about it though. If it's the last resource on the world, you're both dying no matter what.
Yeah, I'm just gonna feed. I'm just gonna cut off little pieces of meat to feed.
To feed Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda has the ability to live several more years after me. He can restart this shit. He can.
To go back to
like we were saying,
asexually reproduction. I mean,
exactly,
he might be chilling.
Exactly. He might just be able to lay eggs and be like,
he might not need me. Like, hey, like,
what about a fried Baby Yoda egg?
All right, I think we've gotten a little too far now.
You're right. We gotta stop. The percentage is going up and up and up, and it's gotta stop.
Baby Yoda, a fried Baby Yoda egg took it to a 50-50 right there.
The elevation was nuts. I mean, we're talking about a serious.
We got a 25% increase in odds Colton, that Joseph wants to eat Baby Yoda.
You brought up Baby Yoda laying an egg. I had to go to the next logical step there.
And believe me, I thought it. I thought it. You said it. But this has been the Penny Bloom podcast. That was chapter 2 of The Mandalorian, titled "The Child." I am Colton Robertson, joined by the wonderful Joseph George.
Yep, that's me.
Miles Buttress.
Thanks for having me.
And Kyler Barnett.
Yep, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yes, absolutely. Chapter 3 and another good one. I guess I'll see you then.
See you later, boys.
Love you, boys.
Yeah.
Praise Keanu Reeves.